Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas, and I'm doing another ranking all of the films of a certain director. I've been doing this for a while now. It's one of my projects. I've been trying to work on some of my favorite directors out there, and I've done several on like Spielberg, on Mel Brooks. I did one recently on Tim Burton. Anyways, this time I'm doing the movies of Jackie Chan. Yes, Jackie Chan, one of the greatest, in my opinion, maybe the greatest kung fu action star of all time. Huge Jackie Chan fan. Been since I was a kid when I first kind of discovered Jackie Chan. I was a big Bruce Lee fan first, and then I kind of switched over to Jackie Chan when I discovered his movies, anyways. And have watched probably not nearly all of his movies. I'm sure he made a lot of B-level movies back in the day. But I've seen most of all of his major movies, but I've seen quite a bit of his movies myself and read a lot about him. In fact, I'm reading a book right now called Never Grow Up with Jackie Chan here. It's the second book I know about him. There's another book I've read before called I Am Jackie Chan, which is another really good book about his life and how he got into the movie business in China and then eventually came over to America. This one is okay. I think I like the other one a little bit better. This one isn't quite as detailed on the movies, which I like about the first book. Anyways, I'd love to read a biography just about it, the details on his movies, because that's what I'm most interested in. But anyways, you might be thinking, Jackie Chan, why are we talking about Jackie Chan when it comes to directors? And you might not know, Jackie Chan directed a number of his films, a lot of his big films, in fact, he was able to direct. And he is a really good director when it comes to action films. I mean, Jackie Chan has an Oscar, honorary Oscar, for his lifetime of work. And a lot of that is because, obviously, somewhat unprecedented stunts that he does. He does his own stunts, and he does incredible stunts throughout his career. And he's made some of the biggest martial arts movies of all time. Huge fan of martial arts movies, of course. And he's the best, in my opinion. And he's also directed a lot of great martial arts films that he also stars. Obviously, if he's directing, he's going to also star in it. And also star in it, but he's also doing the fight choreography. Of course, a lot of his films has the Jackie Chan stunt team, which is probably the best stunt team in the world. They put together some great stunt men. And they're able to, they work on every movie, and they just know how to work the Jackie Chan style, and that's what makes his movie so good, is because of the consistency of the people that work with him. Anyways, but yes, he really made directed some really good movies, and his directing style is actually very good as well. So good that even American directors have borrowed from him. Mostly, I've heard of Sylvester Stallone. Even in this book, he talks about he became really good friends with Sylvester Stallone, amongst other Hollywood bigs. And in fact, when he first met Sylvester Stallone, he had no idea Sylvester Stallone knew who he was. And Sylvester Stallone, I'm having a hard time saying that word. That's a hard word to say. Was like, man, yeah, Jackie Chan, you're amazing. I love your movies. And he says, anytime I'm thinking of doing an action scene, I think about one of your movies and how you did it, and I try to borrow from it. So I know Stallone has directed some of his own movies and has borrowed from Jackie Chan himself. So I think you say he's very influential in action genre in total, anyways. But overall, he actually directed, like I've seen on IMDb, he's directed about 13 movies. I watched 11 of them. There's two that I haven't been able to find. One called Miracles, The Canton Godfather, and another one called 1911. I didn't find either of those movies, so I'm going to rank 11 of his 13 movies here, my favorite of Jackie Chan anyway. So we start at number 11. We go with Dragon Lord. And I don't have a lot to say. I saw this one time, I remember. And I just remember I don't remember much about it, to be honest, except that I remember I didn't think it was very good. The story, the action scenes, nothing about it. It was definitely a very weak Jackie Chan. And I can't remember when it came out or anything like that. I didn't look too much of it up. And I'm not going to look back at it because I just remember not thinking much about it. At number 10, I have Chinese Zodiac. This is the third of the Armor of Armor of God trilogy, I guess you can say, which I'll get to the other two movies. He's directed all three movies, and he plays the same character in all three, called Asia Hawk, which is quite the name. I do love the character and I love the idea of the character. He is a bit of a kind of Indiana Jones style, but with martial arts. He's a treasure hunter, except for, unlike Indiana Jones, who looks for treasure and then puts it in a museum, he looks for treasure to sell it and make money. So that's his kind of character. So, but it does have a lot of that globe-trotting kind of funness to it, and overall, just a really fun character. Chinese Zodiac, though, was made as a third one, and he's made maybe in the 2000s at some point. And he was getting a bit older at that point. His action style wasn't as good as it used to be. And yeah, this movie, I saw it one time, and I just remember thinking, it didn't really have anything that interesting in it, action-wise, or any great martial arts scenes. Like I said, Jackie Chan just wasn't doing as much at that time. Once we get to the 2000s, I feel like he really was past his peak at that point. And speaking of Armor of God, number 9 is Armor of God, which is the first of this Armor of God trilogy, as you want to call it. I don't know if that's the best way to call it. Yeah, again, this was an interesting premise of him, traveling to different places, including, I think he even travels to Africa maybe at the beginning of the movie, and taking, relics from these countries and just making money off of it. Again, love the character, love the idea. This one, again, it's been a while since I've seen it, and it's very well, I think, beloved by Jackie Chan fans. I'm not as into it. I don't think the action scene, and this is like prime Jackie Chan, I think, in like the 80s period, where he's making his best material, I think. And it does, well, mostly I remember he fights a bunch of monks. There's a scene where that's like a big action sequence, but none of the monks look that good at kung fu or anything, so it felt like it too easy. And then the climax was very weird. It was like these 3 tall black women wearing high heels, if I remember right, something like that. And that's like the final boss. And they don't really, build you up to the final boss. It's just all of a sudden he's in this temple trying to get this thing, I think. Again, I don't remember much about this movie. But then all of a sudden, like, these 3 really tall black women jump out all of a sudden. It's like, oh, who are these people? These 3 women. And they start, doing this kung fu fight with them. I don't know. It was a very weird kung fu scene to me. Again, them wearing high heels, but they're hitting them with good kicks. And he's a small guy, so, I mean, I guess it's a formidable opponent, but it's not the kind of opponent I usually think of Jackie Chan anyway. So, yeah, it's mostly known for, he had one stunt where he's supposed to jump and grab onto a tree limb, and the tree limb breaks, and he falls and hits his head on a rock, and he almost killed himself. It's he's had so many injuries, and he's almost killed himself so many times, but that was like the biggest one where he really almost died and had to be rushed to the hospital and had, a real bad head injury and lots of blood, and even to this day, I think there's a soft spot on his head because of that. But yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't that interested in this one. Number 8, I have Project A2, the sequel to Project A. Again, this is one I've seen once before, and the first one you're going to see much higher on my list. It's a great movie. This one, I just, again, don't remember a lot of memorable scenes. I don't think Sammo Hung or Yuen Bio came back for this one, which were a big part of the first one. I think it didn't. The plot overall wasn't that interesting. The climax, I just don't remember a lot from this being that great. I know a lot of this is me just not remembering things but once I get to these better ones, I remember them better. Including number 7, The Fearless Hyena, which I would say from this on, really good Jackie Chan movies that I'm really high on. And Fearless Hyena is a very early one, kind of like maybe around the 3rd kind of big hit. First big hit was Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, and then he had The Drunken Master, were kind of 2 that really put him on the map. And then I think he did this one. I think this is the first one that he directed as well. I believe this is his directorial debut. And it's funny, the story, not that great. And most of the movie, the action scenes aren't the best necessarily, but then you get to the end. The end is so good. It's one of the best action sequences or best martial arts fighting I've ever seen in my life. And even right before that, you get a kind of a training montage where he's training, and it's actually pretty incredible. He does these, I believe this is one where he does these kip ups where you're on your back and you put your hand and you kick back up on your feet. And he does it like 10 times in a row, like kicks up, falls down, kicks up, fall down. And it's like, wow, I couldn't even do one. And this guy's doing like 10 in a row. That's pretty good. But then you get to the final scene where he fights these three guys with like these spears or something like that, kind of like spear-like weapons. Not exactly a spear, but it has like more of a sword at the end of the spear. And he's fighting these three guys, and it's just incredible how fast they're going, and he's not getting hit. Like they're swinging that thing. I mean, it looks like they're just swinging at full force, like, not slowing down at all. And there's three of them swinging their weapons at him, and he's somehow dodging them, blocking them, and he finally gets one weapon out of one guy and kills him with it. Now he's got a spear. Now he's fighting with a spear with the other two guys, and ends up killing another guy. And then it's just him and one guy left, and they go at, and it's one of the most incredible fight scenes I've ever seen in my life. Even to this day, go to YouTube and look up like Fearless Hyena. Maybe you can find that last fight scene. I almost want to say you just need to watch that final fight scene, but overall, that fight scene makes that movie, I think, watchable for me, where I'll go back and watch it just because I love that scene so much. Anyways, number 6, we have The Young Master. One that I think people really like, and I agree. It's a really good Jackie Chan film. I think, and it might be like early 80s, really early one for him as well. But he was already kind of big time at this point. And this is one that with Yuen Bao actually has a pretty big part in it, which is great. Those two are great together. If you don't know him, Sammo Hung and Yuen Bao all grew up together at the same Chinese opera house and all became friends there and learned kung fu and also how to sing and act. And they learned all of that there growing up until they were 18, and then they had to leave the school. And they all, of course, got jobs as stuntmen and then worked their ways up to being martial arts stars all in their own right. It was always fun when they either two of them get together or three of them get together. Man, they're so good. They're so fun. They have a good comic style together as well. Great chemistry. And this one, it's another. What I love about Jackie Chan is not only the martial arts scenes are great, and he's got some good acrobatic moves, and it's fast paced, which I love. Also very funny. I love his movies. I love the sense of humor that Jackie Chan has that he puts on these. And that his character is very flawed and very beatable. He's not indestructible. He makes mistakes. He gets hurt. He gets beat up sometimes. I kind of like that about Jackie Chan. Anyways, going to The Young Master, it kind of has all those elements. Overall, a very fun vibe throughout the movie, and some really good action sequence, including one between him and Yuen Bao. And what I love is he uses a wooden bench as a weapon, and very inventive the way he uses the bench in certain ways. And there's a very fun fight scene between the two in there. But all the fight scenes are very well done. Like I said, very fun movie overall. Anyway, so that's here at number 6. Number 5, we have Police Story 2, the sequel to Police Story. This is one, I know I have it on the Criterion Collection. I don't watch it very often. It's an okay movie. I mean, I do like that character. And again, there's like 5 or 6 police stories, I think, that Jackie Chan has made. And not all of them are called Police Story, but they're kind of the same character. And they're in the police story, universe, basically. And has some of the same characters. But he only directed the first 2, evidently, because none of the other ones are on this list. Police Story 2, again, is just kind of more of a modern cop, and he's after somebody, and I can't remember a lot of details. I remember like a really good action sequence. I think this is one that has a great action sequence on a playground, like one of his best actually, where he uses the jungle gym and certain things in the playground to defend himself against all these bad guys surrounding him. That's definitely a highlight, and I even know Jackie Chan always talks about that as being one of the highlight scenes that he's very proud of choreographing. I believe there's a really good restaurant fight scene as well, and he has this one kick where he kicks a guy's head from the top through like a drawer, like he pulls out a drawer and then kicks his head through the drawer, which I always thought was a very neat move. And also the bad guy's actually, when you find out who the bad guy is, he's actually very small, and you're thinking, this guy doesn't look so tough, but he is super quick, even quicker than Jackie Chan, even smaller than Jackie Chan, and they have a nice fight scene at the end as well. So overall, a solid sequel. Again, these are some great Jackie Chan movies I'm getting to. Number 4, I have Who Am I? I think this might have been like maybe early 90s film. It's like one of those films that came out when he started getting popular in the United States. And, after like Rumble in the Bronx kind of broke him out. And then he put out some other, like Police Story 3, Super Cop, came out, and First Strike and all that. And this came out, I feel like somewhere either right before that or somewhere around there, because there's a lot of English in here. Of course, a lot of his older films are all in Chinese, and you have to read the subtitles or be English dubbed. But then once he gets into more Americans, then he's got a mixture of Chinese and English in them. And this one, I believe, is a lot of English in this one. So it's around that time. But it's an interesting, actually, overall, a really good premise where he plays like I think he's a Chinese, like, special forces, but he, in a fight in the jungle, he, like, hits his head and has amnesia and doesn't remember who he is. And so then, and I'm forgetting the exact story because it's been a while since I watched the movie, but he has some kind of secret that the bad guys want because it has to do with, money or something. He has a code or something. I can't remember. But anyways, they find him, not the bad guys, but he gets found, I think, by somebody. And again, he doesn't remember who he is. He doesn't remember why the bad guys were after him. And so I love that premise, kind of a Born Identity kind of premise. But he knows how to do kung fu fighting. That part he doesn't forget, but everything else he kind of forgets. And so he's being chased by a bad guy throughout the film and has to use his resources. I think he's in Holland through the movie, which is a pretty cool setting. I think he even has like a chase scene through the streets, and he even puts on some wooden shoes, like Holland shoes, and fights with them. And I think he fights with a bike or something. Anyway, so I remember there being some pretty good scenes there. But what really makes the movie great is towards the end, he gets chased to the top of a roof, a really tall roof, by these two henchmen. And one's like Chinese, one guy's some other country, but he's white. And they have these really nice suits, and they get up there and they say, we've never seen them fight before, but we know they're probably pretty good and pretty confident. And they're like, hey, give us, I think he has a bag of maybe jewels or something like that they want, or maybe it's something that I'm forgetting the exact what it is, but he has something in his bag they need. And so like, give us the bag or we're going to throw you over the roof. And Jackie Chan says, how about I keep the bag and I throw both of you off the roof? Anyways, and so this great sequence, I'm sorry, I'm going to explain a lot because I love this sequence so much. But first, the Chinese guy is like, let me fight him one-on-one. Instead of 2-on-1, he's like, I can take him, because he's so confident in himself. And so he even tells him, I'll do it in like 1 minute. I'll beat this guy up in 1 minute. And so him and Jackie Chan have a fight, and he's very good. At first, he's winning the fight, but Jackie Chan uses his suit against him, uses his tie against him, and ends up kind of winning the fight a little bit. And so then he kind of gets beat up a little bit. And then the second guy's like, let me go one-on-one with this guy. And turns out he's really good at kicking. And he has these incredible, like, almost like Jean-Claude Van Damme kind of high kicks. And he's taller than Jackie Chan, so he's even more formidable foe for Jackie. But they have a nice one-on-one battle, which Jackie Chan ends up winning that battle. And so then they're like, forget it, let's just go 2-on-1. And so they both, rush him, and now he's fighting both of them, and they're both really good. So I love how they built up the two henchmen as, holy cow, these both guys are really good just one-on-one. They'd be hard to beat. But 2-on-1, how's Jackie Chan going to beat him 2-on-1? But he ends up using, different things on the roof to able to defend himself and to get by. And there's some great scenes where he like almost falls off the roof. Where he's walking on the edge of the roof, and they're fighting, and you're like, oh my God, like if he falls, he's dead, So there's some great stuff like that in the fight scene. But overall, it's a great, one of my favorite Jackie Chan fight scenes. Anyways, I had to talk about it because that's what makes that movie so good, and why I keep going back to it. All right, top 3 movies. Number 3, we have Operation Condor, which is the sequel or second of the 3 Armor of God movies, I guess you can say. Sometimes it's called Armor of God 2, Operation Condor, but in America it was just called Operation Condor. And it's all, I believe, in Chinese. So this is a movie he made. And then once he broke out with Rumble in the Bronx, I feel like this movie kind of came out in the theaters in the United States. So I remember being one of the early ones with, again, my memory is like Rumble in the Bronx came out, and then like Super Cop came out. And I feel like this came out, and Twin Dragons came out. It's like a lot of these Jackie Chan movies just poured in once he got popular. And yeah, this is a great movie. Again, I really love the character. He's kind of more of a cool, cocky character. Most of the Jackie Chan characters are a little more humble and nice, while this guy is a little more like cocky and cool. He drives a motorcycle, he has a leather jacket. Uh, yeah, great character. And again, great humor. Oh my gosh, this movie is so funny. So many great comedic moments throughout, and very inventive fight scenes. Um, and they're all on, again, they're all after this Nazi gold. So they travel, and he travels with these three different women that, and this other guy's after the Nazi gold. So he keeps fighting with him on his way to this, and they're like in the desert, and they find this temple or something. And there's like warheads, there's the military weaponry in there. And he has one of the greatest fight scenes I've ever seen, where he fights multiple guys in this weapon factory kind of place. And he's, jumping up places, and they're having fight scenes in up high places. He almost falls off or something, or some great stunt work there. But yeah, it's one of those great scenes where I love, where he's fighting multiple guys and he has to run and, get away because he can't find them all at once, and kind of singles them out. But great moves throughout that. And even towards the end, he has this kind of fun fight scene through an air tunnel where he says Superman, and he like goes out like this to hit a guy because the wind carries him like he's flying. I don't know. Hopefully you understood that visual, but yeah, some really fun stuff there. Overall, just here, number 3. It's one of my favorite all-time Jackie Chan movies. It's just one of those where action scenes are amazing. Love the setting, the comedy works. Yes, Operation Condor, number 3. Number 2, I have Project A, the very first of the 2 Project A movies. Again, this is just showcases how good Jackie Chan is as a director and as an actor. Again, I love the setting is more like Victorian age Hong Kong, so they're dressing more European. So I love the costuming in here is really good. The women are wearing like more of the English type dresses, and the men English type, shirt, pants, suspenders, and the hats, more English-like in Hong Kong, I guess, at this time period. And it deals with pirates, and Jackie Chan is in the Navy, and they're having pirate problems, and so, but then the Navy kind of gets taken away because they're not doing good enough job against the pirates. So then he has to work with the police in Hong Kong, who is the captain is Yuan Bio, and so there's this rivalry between the two. In fact, there's a great fight scene in the bar between the Navy and the police. Anyways, that's really good. And then Sammo Hung comes in. He's just a thief that Jackie Chan seems to know for some reason, and he kind of gets involved. But he gets involved because for greedy reasons. He wants to try to steal something. But he gets involved as well. So again, I love having all 3 of those characters together. All those 3 actors together are so good because all 3 have that great comic timing, and great action, great with action scenes. And it has one of the best stunts that Jackie Chan did, where he had to hold on to a clock and clock tower, kind of like Buster Keaton, I think, did in a movie. And he drops, and he goes through like 3 of those, what do you call them? The window that you always have in these kind of movies, to kind of stop his falling so he doesn't fall straight to the ground. Kind of slows him down a little bit. But still, it's a crazy stunt that I think he did it twice even, and he almost basically lands on his head on one of the, and we see it done in slow motion, him falling, and he does it twice, and he basically falls on his head, and you're like, how did he not die? Like, how did he survive? And I know it was a tough stunt, because he talks about in this book about it took him like 3 weeks to get up the courage to do that stunt. And he's a director, so he could say, no, I'm not going to do it today. Or he says, he would set it up and go, I'm not doing it. I just can't. It's too scary, too far up. But yeah, anyways, but that whole sequence is so amazing, where he's kind of being chased around Hong Kong and stuff like that. Also a great sequence where he's going after a mob boss, and they have this big fight in this building, and he has to go up these stairs. He keeps getting knocked down off the stairs, and then he has to go up another way. It's such a great sequence again. And again, it's a very funny movie, I think, and very enjoyable, very entertaining overall. And a great final sequence where he has to fight the pirate at the end. He kind of, him and some of his people in his group they're able to get in with the pirates and kind of what do you call it, undercover with the pirates, and then they have a big fight scene at the end. Anyways, yeah, just a really wonderful movie. One of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. At number 2, that leaves me number 1, Police Story. Yeah, I've always been a huge fan of this movie, and I think it's his greatest as a director. I think he has some of the great action scenes of this of his life, I think, in this movie. And again, I love the setting. It's modern, like, China. Like, some of his movie, it's like he's in ancient China, and some of his movies, like, Drunken Master and stuff like that, and even like The Young Master, Fredo Sahina. You have like more of like the ancient Chinese before they had guns, and they're just fighting with swords and spears and hand-to-hand combat. And then you got the more modern ones where they actually have guns and they're using guns in the movies. And so I like that modern setting of him being just a Hong Kong policeman going after a drug pen, mob boss kind of guy, and trying to get this female witness to go against the mob boss, I guess is the whole plot of it. But then he also gets framed at one point and has to be undercover because the police are after him, and he has to find the guy to get his innocence and all this. So great storytelling overall. Again, great, probably his best comedically. There's a whole thing with his girlfriend, and he comes home with this female witness, and she thinks he's cheating on her, and that whole sequence is very funny and really well done. But like even the very first action sequence is pretty incredible stuff and very dangerous. How they have to go down, they take all these cars, and the bad guys are trying to get away, and they have to go down this hill full of houses, and they're just demolishing these houses. It's like very difficult action sequence, which goes right into Jackie Chan chasing on foot. The bad guy gets on a bus, on like one of those double-decker buses, and with a umbrella, he hooks himself onto the bus, and it's really Jackie Chan, no stuntman. He's really in danger. He's hanging off this bus, as it's going, driving, and he's just, just hanging on to dear life. Great sequence overall. But it really comes down to the final sequence. It's one of the best action set pieces I've ever seen, where he finally corners the bad guy basically and his henchmen at a mall, and they're looking, the evidence to put him away is in this bag anyways, I guess. And so they're trying to get this bag away from the bad guys, and oh my gosh, because if you know a mall, there's lots of glass, lots of stuff is behind glass, and so there's so much glass that gets broken throughout this movie, and that's what kind of makes it so unique. I've never seen a movie like that. But man, it's a great sequence where he's fighting multiple guys at times, and he's throwing them through different glass cases and stuff like that. And then he has to jump to a different part of the building, and he gets attacked again in a different department, and he has to fight them off. He's flying down escalators and all this in stairways to try to get to the bad guy. And even a guy with a motorcycle tries to run him down, and he gets onto the motorcycle and runs him down. And oh my gosh, it is absolutely incredible. I've seen that scene so many times. I don't get tired of seeing that. Maybe my favorite action sequence of all time is that whole sequence in the mall, which takes place the last 15 minutes of the movie maybe, and all that. And some great editing in the whole sequence. I never forget one scene where a guy hits Jackie Chan, and his head bounces off some glass and breaks the glass, and the camera is pointed on the other end of the glass. And so you see him hit the glass and break the glass, and he holds his head like, oh my gosh. It's a really great, the camera placement was so good, and it really adds to the action. You go, oh my God, he really hit that glass. So to me, I go, man, you want to see someone who's very influential in the action genre, I always look at Police Story as one of the best action movies ever made and directed by Jackie Chan. So Jackie Chan, though known as one of the greatest martial arts actors and choreographers, you can say, and stars, he's also one of the greatest directors, in my opinion, as well, when it comes to action movies. And that part of he doesn't get talked enough about, but I think he should be recognized for what a good director he is as well. So those are my 11 ranked Jackie Chan movies. Tell me how many of these you've seen maybe, and which ones you like, and which one would be your favorite Jackie Chan directed movie. Love to hear your thoughts on this. And so thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting this channel. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good day.